This is the REACHN team. We are at Pirate Bones Burgers, and I would love to introduce you to our wonderful host, Zaid.
Thank you very much. So we'll get back to it. I am executive chef and partner in Pirate Bones Burgers.
Okay. And how long have you been here?
We're about to hit 2 years in September.
Okay. And what type of food do you serve?
We serve casual fast American food, so burgers and fries, and then slowly reaching into other categories within that.
And what's unique about your burgers?
We're 100% plant-based. We're the first diner slash full burger, traditional American plant-based restaurant in Kansas City.
And can you share, with just the listeners, what plant-based means?
So plant-based, I mean the technical term, I think I am not sure. But anything vegetable and fruit related. So no meat, no dairy, no egg, no shellfish, and poultry. So anything that screams.
Anything that has a mom.
Something, yeah.
Anything that has a mom. That's a good
Except
point.
for kombucha.
And what about...
Kombucha has a mom. That we
You serve kombucha too?
No, I wish.
Oh, okay. And what about the cheese? How do I get cheese on my burger?
So cheese is, the process I'm not 100% sure the slices and how it is, but there's a lot of cheeses out there now in the market, and we use a cheese that's made out of coconut. There's others that are made out of soy or that are made out of cashews. So there's a ton of options to make cheese from, and ultimately these companies are innovative, and the money is leading towards a vegan diet. So at least within the population that can have a vegan diet or a plant-based diet. So there's a lot of money into it. We're solving new issues and providing food that is relatable to everyone's diet, but in a plant-based version of it.
And do you mind if I ask why you went plant-based?
I did it as a bet. Yeah, so it started as a bet, and slowly but surely, and it was a bet that started with cutting out red meat. So cutting out red meat led to cutting out chicken, to cutting out fish, to cutting out egg, and then eventually led to, well, could I actually do a plant-based diet? And turns out I can. I've been probably the healthiest that I've been in my life, switching over. And if I ever have, by mistake, any animal-based products, I can definitely feel that my body rejects it, and it's truly the one time, like, where I have issues. Yeah.
So you've seen not only the benefits from a business, but your health benefits too.
Oh yeah, the health benefits from it, and I think it also led me to dig deeper into the connection with animals. I think I was the attached, as everyone is at this point. So it led me to feel a bit more empathy from before. And it's a ladder, almost like falling down from this ladder, and you start to pick up things as you go plant-based. And well, you can't really not like animals after you don't eat them.
Right.
You start to appreciate them, I think, a lot more, or at least for myself, in my case only. I appreciated animals a lot more. I appreciated my health, and I cherish it to this point, because I did have several health issues that it might not be related at all, but I feel much better in general.
No, I think my perception's the same. I don't think I realized, I didn't connect where my food came from. I love animals, but I was eating animals.
Yeah.
And it was only after I started seeing the health benefits, and then you're right, the domino, oh my gosh, all these chickens, all these cows are dying so I can put food on my plate, and then all the environmental impacts of just being socially responsible.
Yeah.
It's been such a different transition for how I look at everything I'm eating.
Yeah, there's a lot to it.
Yeah.
Even when we go down to farming,
Yes.
and who farms it,
Yeah.
and who
Social justice.
butchers it,
Correct.
and not a lot of people realize that the steak that comes to their plate has to go through this chain, and a lot of that chain doesn't, and like the people who work the chain doesn't not necessarily like working that chain. I myself was a butcher at once, and I didn't necessarily enjoy it. It was a job, but I didn't enjoy having stuff all over me every day. And even at that point, I was very much detached from what it actually was. Because
You
I would
almost
see it
have
as
to.
just a piece of steak. No, you didn't even think about it. I don't think we even consider the thought of what it was.
And most children probably, I mean, even for things like sweet potatoes or beans, you know, how does it grow from the ground and how does it get to your plate? What is that, to your point, people are planting, people are harvesting, people are butchering. What's that whole chain of people
Yeah.
and animals that are touched to get a meal on your plate?
And I've seen a lot of thoughts raised of, if you put a animal and you tell a young person that this was your meal, they're not going to accept that because nobody wants to.
No one wants to eat.
And I will say some people will, and that's fine. But also we've been taught this for centuries. So how else could we possibly think we're capable of eating a vegetable?
Even though that's what most of us, I mean, if you look at culturally, whether it's the Black population, Latino population, we grew up on plants.
Yeah.
Or at least our forefathers, our ancestors ate mainly plant predominant
Yeah.
meals.
Because meat was
A luxury.
for others.
Meat was a luxury. Yeah.
And yeah, it's actually when we go back in time and realize the history of food within cultures, it goes. I mean, food in general, I don't think people realize how deep it goes.
Mhm.
Further back than just your mom's and your grandma's recipes. It has so much more power to it, but it's too hard to dig and talk about because there's a lot to it.
There's a lot of emotion that goes with it.
Yeah, to not go really deep, yeah, that's the basic level of that.
Well, what we would like to do, so our goal was to provide the REACHN participants with a substitution for what can I take to a barbecue
Mm-hmm.
that is plant predominant and won't get me kicked out the barbecue.
Mm-hmm.
So what I would love is to get your feedback on some recipes that we've created.
Okay.
We made some homemade coleslaw, and I've been listening to our participants. They want things that are quick.
Yeah.
So everything that you see here, I was able to make in about 45 minutes.
Okay.
The coleslaw came from a bag, but all of the sauce I made.
I think one of the other things, people need to be okay with some of those things. We don't need to reinvent the wheel just because you're changing your diet. You're just eating more of what you already ate. You're gonna eat a little more vegetables.
Yep.
I think the thought of going plant-based is really hard for some people because they think they have to switch everything around their lives, and it's not. It's fairly easy. Just the only thing you're taking out, and this is what I tell people, is like you're taking out one thing, which is your meat protein or your protein, and everything else most likely be the same.
Yeah. Or we keep telling people add plants to your plate,
Mm-hmm.
and eventually you'll crowd out everything else because you can only eat so much.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah.
hopefully that was something that our listeners and our participants will latch on to. But what we've got is some pulled pork, and I say pork loosely because this is actually based off of soy curls. It's soy curls with jalapenos and scallions and a little bit of barbecue sauce. Not too heavy, just to reduce some of the caloric load for our participants that are watching their weight. This is and I want your feedback
Mhm.
because I'm not a cook.
No.
this is a mixture of vegetables. It's sweet potatoes with some red cabbage and corn, and I cook that all on the stove. Just put it on a sheet pan, so it's a sheet pan meal.
Oh,
You can
nice.
make enough for the whole week. Throw it in the refrigerator. Pull it out as you need it.
Yeah.
And then these are just baked beans, because what barbecue doesn't have baked beans?
Right.
I know that a lot of people are watching their weight, so there's two ways that we can look at eating the meal. We can make some sliders with the bread, or you can make some cabbage. You can make some lettuce rolls.
Mm-hmm.
So I like, taking the butter lettuce and adding some cabbage, adding some of the veggies, adding some of the meat, and just rolling it up like almost like a taquito.
Yeah.
But it's just adding another plant.
Yeah.
Dig in.
Let's dig in.